only 2 years old, my parents got divorced. I remember that at my young age, I could understand that within my closest group of belonging, where I should feel nothing but love and protection, an important factor had occurred. My parents split, but what were they actually splitting apart? Divorces bring about the separation of romantic relationships, by all means. However, in most cases, they also involve separating families or even destroying them. Many times, many more than we would like to, irreconcilable fights, prosecutions, economic pettinesses, and a vindictive management of children's custody are involved in this process. A separation implies breaking habits and traditions, turning loved ones into enemies, and obviously degrading everyone's quality of life. But fortunately, in my personal experience, in spite of not having to only accept the separation of my parents, but also accepting that they were forming new families soon after, the divorce wasn't that conflictive. In fact, it was quite a unique experience, which I would like to share with you. To a small child like me at the time, the most important thing regarding the divorce of my parents were, much more than the legal formalities, the new people I was forced to call family. In my case, my stepmother was leading the group of strangers from which I only wanted to get away from. She had also 2 kids of her own, and I obviously wanted nothing to do with them. As cute as this picture may seem, regardless of how united we may look like, it actually took many shots and screams from our parents to take it. It was only intuitive for us to be constantly arguing with each other. After all, we had very different interests, far apart backgrounds, and even different religions. But with hard work and determination, today I can see these people and confidently say that they are my family. It wasn't an easy ride, but luckily there are a couple of lessons I learned on the road. Conditions, perhaps, that had to be given so that today I could enjoy of my family. I remember the first time we met. My father and his girlfriend took us to a beautiful resort to spend the weekend and try to bond. I never forget when we teamed up for the very first time to carefully break into our neighbor's cabin. The mission was trying to flood the entire cabin with water. In theory, it was a simple idea. It consisted of entering, blocking the faucets with cloths or toilet paper, and opening the taps at maximum capacity. Looking back, I say that the escape plan has its flaws, because it basically consisted of us running and laughing like crazy. But to such innocent children, it was the perfect plan. It's a pity that when we were exiting the crime scene, our parents were just outside the cabin, and I should say that, unlike us, they didn't seem to be laughing at all. Although they scolded us for misbehaving, fortunately, the matter didn't escalate. Today, I can see that was probably thanks to the fact that our parents could appreciate how we managed to unite in order to accomplish a goal. And that made them happy. It was the first step towards creating a strong step family. The predisposition to unify is, I believe, the first must in order to find what brings us together, even when we are so different. If you know my family, you know that in the holiday seasons, we were the happiest kids. My dad, brother, and I are Jewish, and my stepmother, stepbrother, and stepsister are Christians. And our parents tried to instill in us a very important lesson through 2 of the most representative holidays of these religions, Hanukkah and Christmas. In December, the 6 of us would sit in the table and say the prayers of the first holiday and light the Hanukkah. Just like tradition states, at the end of the ceremony, we were given presents. After the 8 days, the night of the 24th arrived, and with it, Christmas Eve. We always used to have dinner in family and reminisce the story of the holiday. At the end, Santa will come with more gifts to put under the Christmas tree. And therefore, the 4 of us were hoping the whole year for December to come, not only to celebrate 1, but 2 very special holidays. As superficial as this family tradition may seem, it actually holds a moral of great value. Respecting our differences and accepting our individualities with open arms are 2 key features of relationship growth, and that's the second must in order to create a strong step family. So far, it seems like, after all, it wasn't that hard, that with good intentions, it is possible to reach union. But there's still something missing. Behind pictures, gatherings, and vacations, there used to be screams and arguments. Every family has them, and mine wasn't the exception. Although we could annoy each other from time to time, we understand that in relationships, it's necessary to put certain things aside for the bond to be preserved. Take my dad and stepmother, for example. They had to tolerate whims, tears, and hate from kids who weren't even their own to create the family that we had today. They had to choose to stay a Saturday night with us or hanging out with friends so that we unite as a family. All these actions taught me that sometimes things don't come out as we would want them to. But having the will to make the needed sacrifices is crucial, sublimating our egos and personal wishes to obtain a solid and lasting relationship. If there's something we all learned along these years, is that there is no one type of family, and that blood bonds are just one of the many possible alternatives for family construction. We humans have evolved a lot when it comes to discerning between the them and the us, separating between those who are in our family and those who aren't. Sometimes our grandparents and cousins are our family. In some occasions, when our parents and siblings are our family, everyone else is from the outside. Sometimes our family is the workplace, the neighborhood. It can be a city or even the country. And I must say that despite everything I experience is possible, healthy, and fruitful in my own family composition, when I go to the outside world, to the streets, it really hurts seeing that the possibility of considering each other as part of one big family seems more and more distant. That we are more obsessed with finding what sets us apart instead of discovering what brings us together. Countless sources point out that the populations of the world tend to drift apart and societies to polarize. Uruguay, for instance, the country where I'm from, is about to go through some elections that will determine the support to the current government. Statistics show that each side, opposites in all aspects, represent about 50% of Uruguayans. In Argentina, not too long ago, a massive outbreak unleashed between those who were in favor and against legalizing abortion, splitting society in half, making people pick a side, eliminating the race, and punishing those who fraternize with whoever thought differently. In the US, the gap between Republicans and Democrats is at one of its highest peaks in the history. Having a step family taught me how to polish what divides us and finding what brings us together. The three main keys are having the predisposition to improve relationships, respecting our differences, and having the willingness to make the needed sacrifices. My family didn't achieve its relative success due to our similarities or because we think alike or like the same things. It did because we were raised to understand that we must not sow enemies but harvest meaningful relationships. I invite this audience to reflect on the predispositions and sacrifices that we are willing to make so that the differences with our neighbors do not determine the distance between our hearts. Thank you very much.